Welcome back. Joining me now is Ehud Olmert, who served as the 12th Prime Minister of Israel from 2006 to 2009. Thank you so much for your time this evening. You have long been an advocate of a two-state solution. Has your perspective changed at all with the developments of the last 2 weeks?
It made it more difficult to achieve. The two-state is the only possible political solution for the historical dispute between Israel and the Palestinians. We need to separate from the Palestinians. They need to exercise their right for self-determination and establish their own independent Palestinian state. However, the fact remains that the Palestinians are completely divided, largely speaking, between the more moderates of the Palestinian president, Dr. Mahmoud Abbas, and the Palestinian Authority on the one side, and the Islamic Jihad and Hamas on the other side. Islamic Jihad and Hamas are terrorist organizations. They are ISIS, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, you name it. And they don't want to make peace with Israel. It's not that there are differences, there are greater differences between Israel and Hamas or the Islamic Jihad. By principle, they don't want to ever acquiesce with the existence of the state of Israel. They don't want to make peace with us. They don't want to negotiate with us. We don't occupy one piece of land from Gaza. And from day one, they are fighting us. They are shooting at us. They are shooting rockets on Israeli settlements. So the precondition, the prerequisite for a potential momentum of negotiations between us and the Palestinian Authority that may lead to peace and a two-state solution is the removal of Hamas as the dominant force in Gaza. And as long as Hamas will be there, there will not be a potential for meaningful peace negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians, unfortunately.
Well, isn't that the part of the problem, that there is enough support for Hamas, and even if Hamas is eradicated, someone else will take their place? And how can a two-state solution ever be implemented if enough Palestinian people in the Gaza do not accept Israel's right to exist?
No, I didn't say that all of the people in Gaza don't want Israel to exist. I think that most of the people in Gaza and most of the people in every Muslim country, you name it, would acquiesce with Israel's right to exist. But unfortunately, we know that Islamic societies, not just in Gaza, we know that Iran is a whole state dominated by the Ayatollahs and the extremist, fundamentalist, radicals, killers, murderers that are in charge of Iran, which is it's a country of 80 million people. Would we say that all of the Iranians are the same? No. I believe that most of the Iranians are different, but they are controlled in a non-democratic society by a group which is dominating them in such a way, and that's what characterizes Gaza. I think that if Hamas will be eradicated, there will be difficulties, and it will take times sometimes maybe years before there is a substantial change in the makeup of the society and in the basic values which characterize this society. None of these countries ever lived in a democracy. They don't know how to practice democracy. In most of these countries, it is a very long, painful, and difficult process. But somewhere it has to start. In order to try and give it a meaningful start, the Hamas, the Islamic ISIS, the ISIS of the Palestinians, has to be removed and eradicated. I think that we have the power to do it. I hope that the international community will be tolerant enough to accept the possible collateral damage which will come with this effort that we're making now to eradicate Hamas, so that it will open up for an entirely different momentum that is essential in order to bring peace to this part of the world.
Now, how do you reduce that collateral damage? How do you make sure that innocent Palestinian lives are not lost in eradicating Hamas?
Well, that's precisely what we are trying to do by removing, by pushing, by influencing the residents of Gaza to go north or south in order to be outside of the urban centers. Because you see, the Hamas has built all of its headquarters, the command positions, the launching pads for the missiles, their storage where they store their missiles. All of this is in the center of town, in bunkers in the center of town, precisely in order to use the population, the civilian, the innocent civilian population as a human shield in order to protect themselves. So they need to move out. I know it raises issues of humanitarian suffering. We are doing everything in our power, together with the United States, with the assistance of Egypt, to provide them with the necessary supplies in order to make the collateral damage the minimum possible. And we hope that it will not be too long. But it is essential. If one says that Israel has a right to defend itself, if one says that Israel has a right to reach out for the killers, the murderers, the butchers that committed these atrocities, then one must understand that there is no other place to reach out for them but in the center of Gaza. And since there are so many people living in the center of Gaza, they have to be moved out for a short period of time that it will take in order to reach out for the killers, or that otherwise they will be victims that we don't want them to